Welcome to More Than Velocity podcast. I'm Jordan. We have Matt with us, and today we also have Kris Benson as our guest. And I'm not going to even make the attempt to introduce Kris because I'm going to miss something, and I don't want to run the risk of diminishing anything that he's done. So, Kris, if you don't mind, go back and give us kind of the storied history of your career because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I guess we can start from the beginning. No, I'm just kidding. I've just kind of fast forward. I played little league ball and all the way up through Clemson University. While I was at Clemson, we went to a couple College World Series. Got an opportunity to be drafted number one overall by the Pirates in '96. Um, Played while I was at Clemson, couple Player of the Year awards over there, and then played on the '96 Olympic team. Started with the Pirates in '99 in the big leagues, and then retired at the end of 2010. Just playing baseball since I was 7 years old, and got to play until I was 35 years old. So very fortunate, and learned a lot about baseball, a lot about recovery along the way. Um, just been here in San Diego over the last 7 years, and working as the varsity pitching coach at Del Norte High School, which has been really rewarding, and watching some of these guys develop, under my watch. And it's been fun to see those guys, like I said, go off to college and then, start working with the younger crew. So it's at this point, in the game, a buddy of mine who's also an assistant coach at the high school, Brandon Decker, he's got Trotsky Force here in San Diego. And so him and I have created a vision of getting into a really nice sized and beneficial performance center that's really geared towards baseball development, but will also be helping softball and a lot of the other sports with partnership with Parisi Speed School. So, and my favorite part is we're going to have a recovery center upstairs. We'll have a lot of different things for the kids to take advantage of because like I said earlier, I definitely, really emphasize the ArmCare because I always tell kids, like, if I can't keep you out on the field, it doesn't do me any good. I can teach you, pitching mechanics all day long, but if you can't get out and pitch, it doesn't do me any good. So, gotta have that as our foundation.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, I think you showed a little bit of humility there, kind of glancing over some of these, say, "Oh, Player of the Year." Da, da, da. It's like pretty awesome. So that's why we like to have you as an arm care advocate. Is there's a huge aspect there. If you don't mind touching now, there was a recent induction of some type, right? If you want to kind of go into that a little bit as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I just got word probably about 2 months ago that I got inducted into the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Um, that was something that I really kind of came out of the blue. Honestly, been, I knew about it a long time ago, and then just had a conversation with Jana Hauser. I won the Hauser Trophy Award back in '96 for the College Baseball Player of the Year, and so she is the one that does all the. She sits on the committee, so she gave me a call and she told me about it, and man, that was an awesome feeling. So that's over in Overland Park in February. Really got an awesome class: Mark McGuire, Strasburg, David Price. A lot of good names in that class. So looking forward to getting out there and seeing those guys too.
I think
Yeah,
you're the
so just
first
want to
Hall of
say
Famer.
congratulations on
Yeah, we
that.
haven't had
So
a Hall of Famer yet, Jordan. This is a big. We're moving up in the world, man. This podcast is becoming something.
Yeah.
and I want to make sure we highlight that because that's obviously not a small accomplishment. And I know you didn't even mention it, but again, we want to make sure that you're recognized for that. So thanks for being on, number one.
Yeah.
And then if you don't mind, just kind of want to hop in, what are some ways that you used arm care from that high school team aspect of it? I know because a guy with your amount of experience, and this is why we like having guys like you on, is your wealth of knowledge just in general kind of surpasses really anybody else that's out there coaching at any level of the game. It's hard to find someone with that resume. But what are you pulling out of arm care for your high school players? How are you using it on a day to day? If you don't mind going into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate it. I mean, I've been using it for about a year and a half now. I started, I kind of started from the sidelines. I was watching from the bleachers, and I was getting frustrated with the pitchers out there on the high school team, and I was just kind of like oh, he needs to throw a curveball right here, and he'd throw a fastball and it get laced into the gap. And so I was like, man, they need a pitching coach out there. So I ended up getting sucked back into doing a full time, varsity pitching coach, and like I said, it's been super super rewarding as far as just how well they listen and just watching them learn. But then during the summertime last year, I started doing some more private lessons in person and in remote as well. And so I was able to really get deep into a lot of these different things from a mechanical standpoint, just a mental game standpoint. Just teaching them how to pitch. I just see a lot of guys out there just teaching velocity and just improper mechanics. And so I just set my sights on trying to develop the guys that I can get my fingers on. And part of that program was from the very beginning was the ArmCare program. And so, everything from the bands to the testing. And so, that's really the beauty of being at the high school. We've got a really nice clubhouse. So I ended up setting up a quasi like PT area so I could have like a table so they could do some of their exercises and stretches. And then I put up a kind of a wood area on the wall so they could do all their mobility, range of motion. And then I've got a little box, wooden box that they get on the ground and they do all their arm strength metrics. So, the one thing that I've really thought that was super beneficial is the fact that, like you said, I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking at. So I can see it. I can see it in the game. I can see it, working one-on-one, and I can see it on video, and I can make, those types of changes pretty quickly. But, if we really boil down to it, the younger you are, if you don't have the strength to get into the positions that I'm trying to teach you, then it doesn't really do me a lot of good. Like I can teach you how to, stay back and finish out over the front side, all those little things. But again, if your legs and your hips and your core aren't strong enough, then we're not so much fighting an uphill battle, but we're just like waiting for the development of the strength to come. So those two kind of come together at the right time. So I always tell like the young guys, you're still young, you haven't even hit puberty yet. So it's like, you got to wait for the strength to catch up, but I'm going to teach you how to have a really good foundation of mechanics. So when it does, you're going to be a lot further off, ahead, a lot better off than most guys. And then when I get the older guys that already have the strength, then it's like, okay, well, let me teach you how to really take advantage of that strength. So, but the one thing that I've really learned from the ArmCare side of things with the device, um, it's really about every single 99.9%. I think there was one person that I had that was not deficient on his posterior cuff exercises or his external, motion. So anytime I do the testing, I'm a big believer in internal rotation and making sure that that doesn't start creeping up. So, we do the old school sleeper stretches and things like that to stretch out that posterior cuff. But, when we get down and do the internal, external scaption and grip, that's when things really kind of open up for them so they can see their arm score and they can see like the breakdown of the analytics and being able to see like how weak they are in the back of their shoulder. Jordan, I think you were the one that at some point or another kind of mentioned like, there's big league guys, they focus a lot on they know how important the back of the shoulder is, but they don't really see the, how to break it down from front of the shoulder to the back of the shoulder. So they still have an imbalance because they're focused so much on the back of the shoulder that they forget that they have to have balance between the two. And so at the high school level and middle school level, there's a blatant, obvious deficiency in the back of their shoulder when it comes to their scap strength and posterior cuff. So it's like, as soon as I show them the shoulder balance and how far off it is, and how weak it is, even from the goal metrics that you have, where you're in kind of like the watch zone. It's again, that's really good feedback for them because they obviously love the metrics, they love the numbers. But yeah, I really like that. I like the grip. Because I had some injuries when I played, and I always tell guys, man, I wish I had this back when I played. I mean, that's probably a consensus among pretty much anybody that used to play, is that if you had this kind of device that we could test and see, maybe I wouldn't have been able to kind of get into that red zone, that warning zone, to be able to have Tommy John surgery. But I learned about the importance of scap stabilization and strength um, 20 years ago, honestly. So I went to go see Dr. Craig Morgan out of Delaware, outside of Philly, and he did Kurt Schilling's shoulder surgery, and he taught me about the six scapula, scapular dyskinesis, and how to properly rehabilitate the shoulder and the scap. So a lot of the stuff that you guys are even doing today, I really love it because it's I learned this 20 years ago, but you guys are making it more out there. You're putting it out there and showing these guys how important the scap is in the overall strength and health of the arm.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting thing too is obviously, we're the same company as Crossover Symmetry, and Crossover kind of started because our owner, Dugan, had messed his shoulder up, and we came up with Iron Scap, right? Like Dugan created Iron Scap with his dad using an old Bowflex, and then they created the bands and kind of had that whole thing. But it's just like you were saying, like everyone's focusing on that backside of the shoulder, which yes, that is going to be a very important aspect. But unless we're using a dynamometer, unless we're testing consistently, we're going to be feeding that problem. And
Right.
especially when we get into the big league side, we're almost getting too strong on the backside of
Mhm.
the arm, right? We just keep getting
Right.
stronger and stronger and stronger, and then that puts that elbow at risk because we're too weak on the front side. So I
Right.
remember we were sitting in Carlsbad at like a Starbucks, drinking coffee, going over like a whole bunch of different things. It was a great conversation. I think we had like 12 coaches around us, and we were just spitballing, brainstorming ideas. And I remember it's like, yeah, at the big league side, so much emphasis put there that once we start using the sensor to test, now we're able to understand, well, do we need more IR? Do we need to actually just, keep the bumpers up so we're knocking pins down? Do we need to increase scaption? And like, how do we start utilizing these different metrics to create the whole 360 athlete there? How do we mold it around that guy to do what he needs to do? And I don't know if I know you have your arm care systems. Have you utilized our custom training at all in the app at all with any of your athletes? And what,
Yeah,
what
no,
have you
I love
kind of seen
to.
from that?
Yeah, I love the new updates that you guys have, especially like
Nice.
the accountability. That's always a big thing, especially at that age, is to actually get them to do the stuff that you're telling them to do. So yeah, the coaches portal helps me kind of keep track of everybody and where they are. They always tell me that they're utilizing that part of the app now. And so when they're not around me, a couple of my guys already have some of the cross symmetry bands, so they're able to do some of those exercises. So yeah, I mean, I really like the stuff that Matt's doing with all the different scap kind of protraction and retraction and all those different exercises that I think that are huge. I can't overemphasize the importance of the scap. So anybody that really helps get that message out there really helps us, save some arms. And I know that, with your challenge there with the $10,000 challenge, that was funny. That's great though. I mean, it keeps these guys accountable, right? And if they follow the program to a T, then they should be bulletproof. So to me, it's there's a combination of all kinds of different things from mechanics to strength. Again, it's like the way that I like teaching is just more to become the complete pitcher instead of just, I do this well or I do that well. I mean, I want you guys to be doing everything well. And so being able to get out there and perform at your peak level, whatever that is, some kid that's 15 years old and he's 110 pounds is not going to be the same peak level as somebody that's 6'4", 230. So, but it's the amount of output that I can get out of them by utilizing every single component of that. If it's through strength training with their lower half to arm care for their upper half and the mechanics to kind of pull it all together. So yeah, it's a really good platform that I like how you guys have developed it to be an accountability um, type of way for them to stay on top of things.
Yeah, just looking at your career, coming into the early 2000s, you really kind of rode the entry into the importance of arm care training.
Hmm.
I'm curious, early in your career, let's look back in college in the 90s. I mean, what did arm care look like for you? I'm really curious to know.
Yeah. No, I tell guys all the time. I mean, like I said earlier, I wish I had this when I was, their age because it wasn't around. Honestly, it wasn't around. I mean, it was just like do your jobs, do your 90 degrees, here and there, and just kind of like, so it was pretty archaic. You had your uh, what was the 10 exercises there by Andrew's guy, but
The throw is
you
10.
had
The
your
thrower's 10,
your
yeah.
Hmm.
typical light dumbbell. The thrower's 10, yeah, the thrower's 10, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, even, not to, you know, throw them under the bus, but some of the organizations were a little bit further back or behind than others were. That may still be the case. Some organizations are a lot more advanced when it comes to arm care and things like that, or what they offer their players for recovery. But yeah, when I was coming up in the big leagues, a little bit more old school stuff. Definitely nothing to do with the scap or what it meant to strengthen the scap or the posterior cuff to be able to protect your elbow and so forth. So that's the unfortunate part. So it was a lot of just regular lifting, stretching on your own, just kind of going
And
about
correct
it.
me if
But
I'm wrong, but you're kind of at
um,
that point where lifting
yeah,
started getting into baseball as well, right? Like you were kind of that first
yeah,
gen that was like, we're gonna get in the weight room now.
yeah, yeah. Like
If you just started to interrupt, but how did that change the game as well? Like, because you're at this unique point where it's like, I was too young for that because I was in high school in 2004, 2003, something like that, and we had already had lifting, but it was like, hey, do 3 sets of 10 on the squats and then don't do any chest, right? Like that's how it was when I was lifting. But how was it when you kind of were that first gen of like, hey, we're gonna start lifting? What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I started really getting into lifting when I was in college. I mean, Clemson did a really, really good job as far as, having your personal trainer per se, with the team.
Did by
Um,
chance was it Dave Zemansky who was at Clemson at that time? Is one of the
not
coaches?
not at that well, I mean,
Okay.
maybe so. It wasn't the one that I was kind of dealing with on the baseball side, but I'm not sure when he might have come in. I
Okay.
left after 96, so he could have been right after that. But nonetheless, we had some really, really good guys there that were training. And I think the biggest thing that I got out of strength training, well, it was huge. That was really life changing for me was so I was the very last cut on the Olympic team in 95. And so it was always my goal to make it to the 96 Olympics because that was being held in Atlanta, where I'm from. And so being the very last cut, I knew that I had to get better, to make the team. And so I had been in the Cape the year before, and I decided to go back, or well, I was going to go back to the Cape afterwards, but then, and Hyannis was calling me, hey, I want you to come back. And I just told him I'm just going to go back to Clemson, take a few classes and take summer school and just get in the gym and work out. That's all I cared about. I knew I wasn't to the point where I needed to be, but I ended up gaining 17 pounds and 7 miles an hour on my fastball over the course of like 6 months. And so it was really just the fact that I just dedicated myself to, total body fitness, I guess you could say, and just being able to gain that quality muscle. And that just generated much more output along with my, I would say, already good mechanics. I just made them better. It kind of goes back to that, if I can build the strength up and I've already got good mechanics, then they'll just take off from there. And so, a lot of the stuff that I teach today is built on my own personal experiences with weight training, and and then I just learned along the way, which is why you know, my business is called Evolution Pitching. The evolution of pitching, as far as like strength and mechanics, and just the old school way of thinking has value, but some of the new way does as well. So it's kind of a mix of the two, but. Strength to me is, man, but that was the jumping point for me. I mean, I had always enjoyed lifting weights, but when I was really able to focus when everybody else was off playing, which I always condoned, is like taking a break and, letting your body heal and just get better instead of playing nonstop. I was able to really take advantage of that. And I went from kind of being a good pitcher to being a great pitcher, and then obviously seeing my stock rise to where it rose over the course of really 6 months. I was kind of like that last cut on the Olympic team, and then and I was kind of like, oh, he's in the first round, maybe towards the end of the first round. And then I went down and tried out down in Homestead, Florida for the Olympic team again. It was just like a little showcase down in Homestead. And now I'm throwing like 94, 95 with, and then just carving up guys. Got some guys thinking about me a little bit more. And then as the season went on, it was like, okay, this guy's getting better. Then it was like a mid first round, then an early first round, and then it became the number one overall pick. And so I attribute that to all the work that I put in that summer.
And that's the important thing there is like we get this question and it's always shocking how much pushback we get on whenever we say, should you play in the summer or should you train in the summer? It's like most kids need to be training in the summer
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everyone puts this value on I'm going to go to this showcase or I'm going to do A, B, and C. And this is coming from a guy who was in the Cape when the Cape was the league to be in. And the
Mhm.
Cape is still good, but it's not like it was then, where it's
Right.
like you go to the Cape, you're there for the summer, and this is where you go to get seen, basically.
Mhm.
And you're able to say, you know what, I'm not going because I'm not at my goal. Even though you're at the pinnacle, like it's hard to say I'm going to get better than playing in the Cape in your era, but you're like, nope, I'm not where I want to be. Here's how I'm going to get the last 2, 3, 4, 5% out of what I want of my body. And you're able to delay gratification. And the other big thing there, he didn't say it took a week, 6 months of hard work, training, dedication. I'm sure the nutrition was part of that, right?
Mhm.
And there's a whole bunch of things that come in there because just lifting weights, you're not going to gain. You said 17 pounds of lean mass.
Yeah.
You're not just going to do that without having good nutrition. So again,
Mhm.
like we have all these things, and one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you on is we have our strength course, we have our data led programs course. We have our nutrition and recovery course, and you're like the embodiment of all those things. But that's what it takes to be the best, right? That's what it takes to move your stock up. And, investing that time and those resources into yourself is never a bad thing. But you'd be shocked at how many people get upset when we make a statement of like, should you really be playing this summer if you're not already where you want to be? And the only way you get better is by playing. Apparently not. Like you're living proof that that's not the
No.
only way.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not. I mean, I'm not saying like completely shut it down. I mean, I was still playing catch, and I'm not saying like don't go out there and take batting practice in the cage. I'm just saying like every day that you play in a game is your body's just breaking down and you have no time to recover and build back. So when everybody else again was playing during the summertime, those 3 months, I wasn't playing. I wasn't breaking down my body. I was just building it back up. And so when they came back in the fall, I already had a 3 month head start on those guys. And so the other 3 months beyond that, when they're building up, I'm really hitting my peak at that point. And so come beginning of the year, when I then started to taper back and try to, get ready for the season, I was super strong at that point, and that carried me through, the majority of the season. I threw 156 innings in college, which some guys don't even throw that in the big leagues now. So it's like I threw 156 innings in college, and I threw another 56 innings on the Olympic team. So 213 innings, 212 innings as a 21-year-old. Good luck sniffing that these days. And so my thing is like I did, obviously I did get tired. I mean, it was a long summer going the Olympic team with the traveling with. I think we were in 29 cities in 30 days. It was like play, get up early, fly, play, get up early, fly. Then go to Atlanta and it's 92 at 10 a.m. in the morning pitching against Nicaragua. So it's like my body really took a toll. But I mean, I wouldn't have been able to even do that much if I hadn't built the base and the foundation, you know, early on that prior summer. I mean, I would have really been broken down. And to that point, it's like I had Tommy John after my second year in the big league. So that was about 4 years after the Olympics. And I can tell you that Seth Greisinger, Billy Koch, all these guys, R.A. Dickey, all blew out at that point. So their bodies were already toast at that point. Um, so it was great that we were on the Olympics. We, won the bronze medal, and it was an awesome experience, especially me being at home. But if I had to do it all over again, if it wasn't the Olympics, I probably wouldn't have done it if I knew what was happening because it was just like too much too early when you're too young to throw that many innings, especially coming out of college. But if I had the wherewithal of having the device telling me, hey, you need to skip this start or you need to back up your bullpen. Without it, you're just kind of rolling like, okay, today's bullpen day, tomorrow's long toss day, and then I'm going to get ready to start. I may have never been recovered to 100% to then go back out there. And so, as far as um, getting away from really pushing yourself beyond your limits, again, that's where the device comes in, and you can use that device to really dial in exactly where you are health wise.
So with that, I know we're getting kind of close to the time where we try to wrap these up. If you want, I would really like you to kind of talk about where this new facility is going to be, all the things it's going to offer, because it's going to be a pretty unique. I've done some research. I don't think there's too many places like this in the nation that are going to have this amount of resource. So if you just kind of walk us through, I know it's going to be multi-level. Walk us through the ground, work us up through the recovery room, give it a little foreshadowing, but give us the whole rundown of what that new facility is going to look like, how people can get there, and kind of what those steps look like to get to working with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So, my buddy and I, who's a fellow coach, Brandon Decker over at Trotsky Forest, he's here in San Diego. We're about 25 minutes north in Forest Ranch, which is nearby Rancho Bernardo, about 15 minutes away from the beach. So, but we're opening up a new 8,000 square foot performance center. Wish we could go bigger, but San Diego is a little limiting when it comes to that kind of stuff, especially when you want to be in the area that you want to be in. So, but we're going to be going, hopefully opening up here in the next 6 weeks, and having a soft opening, and then having a grand opening soon after that, maybe top of November. But what the whole vision is to have baseball and softball, and then we partnered with Parisi Speed School on the speed, agility, and strength training side. Really like their program. And then upstairs, like you said, we're going to have a recovery and wellness center where we're going to have PT up there. We're going to have a lot of different modalities when it comes to ArmCare. We're teaming up with Game Ready. Not sure if you guys know who Game Ready is, but it saved my life when I was coming back from shoulder surgery. I mean, they gave me an igloo, and then I was like, this is not cutting it. I got to get something else. And they gave me a Game Ready machine. I was like, man, this is the best thing ever. So going to have Game Ready basically powering the wellness center. And then just have an arm care station like I do now, where they can do all their testing, their table drills, their plyo balls, and their tubing. So, it's really about, again, bringing in the whole holistic full circle of things that you need to really develop. And that's the biggest thing is like, we can chase velocity, we can do pull downs all day long, but if we're not stable and strong and we're not doing the right things to create that base, we're just waiting for an injury to happen. So, for us to be able to create this performance center where it's really, you can spend 4 hours in this place if you want. You can go do your hitting, then come see me for pitching, then go over to Parisi and do all that stuff, and then go upstairs and do all your recovery. Um, or even just come in after your start and do recovery alone. I mean, so to me, it's just a one-stop shop. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel by any means, but it's definitely something around here that's needed. We plan on taking this to multiple locations, and putting it in Atlanta, putting it in Vegas, maybe in Salt Lake City. So definitely want to get this model out there because it's definitely needed, and the type of experience that's going to be in there, not including just myself, it's going to be good to do these monthly talks with the parents about arm care, nutrition. Amy Goodman was with me with the Rangers, was with the Cowboys, TCU. She's going to be on the nutrition side and diet side. So, bringing in all of these high level professional folks into one place and just kind of really making these kids better. So, and like I said, the velocity comes again. I'm like a slow and roll kind of guy. I don't need to be chasing velocity right out of the gate. I want to see you like create that foundation, and then really you'll see the changes happen. So sometimes you just need to get the buy-in from the kids because they just want to throw as hard as they can as soon as they can, and it just doesn't work that way.
Sounds incredible. You need one in Dallas so I can come work out there. It sounds like I got a spot.
Yeah, definitely plan on it for sure.
Well, perfect. Unless you got any other questions, Matt, I think honestly it might be good for you running your ultra marathons and your 100-mile races. You might need to swing out to San Diego for a recovery session.
Yeah,
So,
man, come
Yeah.
hang out for a few
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. No, you guys are more than welcome. Love to have, definitely going to have the devices in the, upstairs area. Everybody's going to have to go get their testing in before they come to see me. Right now I do it myself, so I see firsthand, each kid that I work with going through their testing. So I've learned a lot. And so, like I said, I really appreciate what you guys are doing with the device and just the overall, the new updates that you've created and with the workouts and the training and the accountability. And I think it's going to make a huge impact. It already has been. And so, kudos to you guys for doing that. Where a lot of guys are just trying to create little one-off type stuff. It's not. This is more impactful. So definitely look forward to using it in the new facility in years to come.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a ongoing project of just getting this out and then refining it based on feedback we get from guys like you on how can we make this better. And we're still in that process. So
Yeah.
thank you for what you do for us.
Hmm. My pleasure. Yeah. No, it's great. Like I said, we'll hopefully have you guys down to the facility and we can do some more podcasting together.
You got it, man. I'll get to San Diego anytime I can. That's a it's a great
Tough,
place.
tough to not come here.
Seriously. Yeah. I've just been looking for a trip to get to San Diego. That's what I'm really after here.
Exactly.
well, perfect. Well, we're gonna wrap this one up. And for guys that want to find him, Kris Benson, you said it was Evolution Pitching. Go check him out, and we will see you guys next time.